This video is to get more practice using the trigonometric formulas. This problem says, if the tangent of x is equal to negative radical 7 over 3, and x is in the second quadrant, find the sine of 2x. Well, this sine of 2x, is there anything on the reference sheet that refers to a sine of 2x? I notice here under the functions of a double angle that there is something here that talks about the sine of 2a. It says the sine of 2a is equal to 2 times the sine of a times the cosine of a. This seems to be the most appropriate formula for solving this problem. So we've done step 1, which is to find a formula. In fact, I'll write that down. It seems the most useful formula is that the sine of 2a is equal to 2 times the sine of a times the cosine of a. Now, what are the things that we know and what are the things that we need? We know that the tangent of x is equal to negative radical 7 over 3, but we really need to know what is the sine of x, and we need to know what is the cosine of x. How can we go from this to having the things that we need? Well, remember, a very useful trig identity is the trig identity 1 plus tangent squared x is equal to the secant squared x. You can get this Pythagorean identity by starting with cosine squared x plus sine squared x is equal to 1, and then dividing everything by the cosine squared x. So let's use this first to find the secant squared x. I realize that that isn't something that we need directly, but you see, once you know the secant squared x, you will very easily know what the cosine is, because a secant is just the reciprocal of a cosine. So finding the secant is very, very close to finding a cosine. So since we know this and it lets us get this, let's do that right now. So 1 plus, let's substitute. We're substituting in negative radical 7 over 3, and then we square it, is equal to the secant squared of x. So this is 1 plus negative radical 7 squared is just 7, and then 3 squared is 9, so this is 1 plus 7 ninths is equal to secant squared x. 1 plus 7 ninths, this is like 9 ninths plus 7 ninths, so this is 16 ninths is equal to secant squared x. Let's take the square root of both sides, so we have the square root of 16 over 9, plus or minus the square root of 16 over 9 is equal to the secant of x. Now, which is the correct sign here? S-I-G-N. Is this a plus or a minus? Well, it says over here that this is a second quadrant angle. And when you're in the second quadrant, here we are in the second quadrant, all of the x values are negative, which means that the cosine is negative, which means that the secant is negative. So this is actually a negative radical 16 over 9. Negative radical 16 over 9 is just negative 4/3. That is our secant of x. If the secant of x is negative 4 over 3, this is just a 3, not a negative 3. If the secant of x is negative 4 over 3, then that means that the cosine of x is the reciprocal of that, which is negative 3 over 4. So the cosine of x is negative 3 over 4. How can we now find the sine? We have the cosine, but we need to get the sine. Well, finding the sine when you know the cosine and the tangent is not too bad, because the tangent of x is equal to the sine of x over the cosine of x, which means I can clear the fraction here and multiply both sides by the cosine of x. So the cosine of x times the tangent of x is equal to the sine of x, and this gives us a handy way of finding sines very quickly as long as we know a cosine and a tangent. And we do know the cosine and the tangent. We'll do a substitution. So 3 over 4, that's the cosine, times the tangent. What is the tangent? Well, the tangent, it told us that the tangent was negative radical 7 over 3. So down here we're going to put this together. This is negative radical 7 over 3. And we'll multiply the cosine times the tangent to get the sine. Negative 3 times negative radical 7, that becomes 3 radical 7. 4 times 3 is, well, it's 4 times 3, and I will use this to cross this out, and so we end up with radical 7 over 4, and that is the value of the sine. So I'll write this down. The sine is equal to, the sine of x is equal to radical 7 over 4. And now I have all of the ingredients that I need. I have a cosine and I have a sine. So let's go up and use the formula now. So the formula here is the sine of 2a. The sine of 2a is equal to 2 times, what is the sine of a that we just had here? Well, the sine here is radical 7 over 4. That's what we just found. I think I'll write it over here on the side, actually, to make it a little easier for you to follow this. So we know that the sine of 2x, I'm just repeating the formula, the sine of 2x is equal to 2 times the sine of x times the cosine of x. So here we have the sine of 2x is equal to 2 times the sine of x times the cosine of x. So that means that the sine of 2x is equal to 2. What did we get for the sine of x? Well, we just got that the sine of x is radical 7 over 4. And what did we get for the cosine of x? We just got that the cosine of x is 3 over 4. See these values right here? Just to remind you, there was the cosine of x. And right here we got the sine of x, which we got by just multiplying the cosine times the tangent to get the sine. And so here we have the sine of 2x is equal to 2 times this times this. Let's go ahead and multiply this out. So the sine of 2x is equal to 2 radical 7 over 4 times negative 3 over 4. We have to multiply this. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. So we get negative 6 radical 7 over 16. This can be simplified a bit. We can divide a 4 out of the top. We can divide a 2 out of the top and the bottom. So we end up with negative 3 radical 7 over 8. And so this is telling us that the sine of 2x is equal to negative 3 radical 7 over 8.